Sometimes I hear feeling in touch with fear. Freedom we hold dear now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, safe from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon.
Thanks for joining us today. We've got a new guest. It's the first time, that's what I think about. I'm saying new guest, but you're not new, but it's your first time to be on our show, and it's right. You've not been here before.
Correct.
Captain Paul Trickey. Captain, glad to have you. Metropolitan Police Department, one of Nashville's finest. I see you're not wearing the flood badge anymore.
That is correct. We recently put that badge off. Now we'll be going back to our regular badge, and later we'll be looking at another commemorative badge.
What do you do? What did you, now you had your badge, and you bought that badge, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what do you do with that badge?
We get to retain that badge for our own use. For instance, we can just keep it in our collection.
Okay, so you, and long, man, it stays on the police department a long time. I wasn't planning on asking you this question, but I just got my interest. So you'll have a collection of badges that have special meanings to them.
Yes, sir.
How many years you been on the police department?
27 years.
You was here a while, left, came back?
Yes, sir.
Military experience?
No, sir.
Okay. You like the police department?
I do.
What do you enjoy most about being a cop?
I think the main
thing is... Writing me tickets?
Well, no, sir. What I like so much is, and it seems like an odd thing to say because everybody says it, but helping people.
You know, we've had y'all come out, different officers come out and talk to our inner city teenagers, and when they leave, the thing that the kids pick up on the most, it'll come and talk to me, say, I think I'd like to be a police officer. Why do you want to be a police officer? I want to help people. And that surprised me because I was in the military and I was an MP, and we had some guys there that was just they were good police officers. They did a good job. And my situation was a little different than most MPs because I was in Saigon, and we had jurisdiction over all American personnel. It was over these private companies and all this, so it'd be closer to a local police department than most MPs did. And then you had some in there that just wanted to be Matt Dillon, just really, I don't know how they got through the psychological to get in there, but they was pretty good about kicking them out, getting them off the street, getting them out of the way. So you enjoy helping people. Now, what is your job description? You are over a unit. Is it called a unit?
It's actually called a division.
A division, but
Yes,
you're
sir.
not a commander.
No, sir, it's a captain.
Now, what's the difference in a captain and a, now, there's a lot of captains, I guess, in the whole unit, is that right? The whole police department?
In the police department, we have around 22 or so captains.
I thought you had more.
And then we have 7 commanders, and the commander positions are those for the precincts. They're actually over the precincts.
Which is a geographic area of town?
It is, yes,
okay.
sir.
Now, what are you over?
I'm over Specialized Investigations Division.
And which that means specialized investigation. Now, that's going to get complicated. And you got a stack of paper here. Let's go through and you name off everything that you're over. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
And then we'll come back and talk about, because I know you're over gangs, and I want to talk some on street gangs and stuff like that. But let's just go through all that you. If you forget one, we'll pick it up later.
That sounds
great. What are you over?
Well, I have, of course, the gang units, which
Okay.
we have 3 different gang squads, if you may, that also work out of the area where I am. You have a narcotics section, and in that you have we conduct mostly mid-level drug investigations. We also have an interdiction unit that works out of our component. We also have people assigned to the DEA task force. We have one person assigned to that. Also have some people assigned to the 20th Judicial Drug Task Force, which is out of the District Attorney's Office. They're working on more upper-level drug enforcement cases.
What would call blue-collar crime?
Well, no, sir. It'd be more like, for instance, the people bringing multiple kilos into the Nashville area. They work on those type cases. Plus, it's a judicial district, which is broader than Davidson County.
Oh, okay, okay.
And that's coordinated out of the District Attorney's Office.
And so, because it's a district attorney, but now, can they make arrests in Murfreesboro?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they can. They have jurisdiction throughout the state.
Throughout the state?
Yes, sir.
They go to Kentucky, they'd be a good neighbor and call the Kentucky enforcement, and they'd come in and do the arrest for them?
They would, yes, sir.
What are the stipulations on boundaries on a police officer where he can, because I know I help in sober ride, and we're not supposed to go out of Davidson County or somewhere. I go everywhere, but we're not supposed to go out. I ain't gonna tell Darren that. You're bound a lot by geographic counties and so forth.
Well,
isn't that right?
In general speaking, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why I'm saying general, but our jurisdiction is within the boundaries of Davidson County. For instance, I'm a police officer in Davidson County, but in Williamson County or a surrounding county somewhere else, I'm not. I'm just as a private citizen. Now, there are some exceptions. For instance, if you have a hot pursuit rule where you're actually chasing somebody, then you can continue to do it, but the offense occurred inside Davidson County. But the important thing is that when I leave Davidson County, I'm just like you or anybody else. I'm a private citizen. If we have to effect arrest somewhere in another jurisdiction, then we contact that jurisdiction to come help to do that.
And if you're in a hot pursuit, they radio ahead and tell them that we are coming
do.
into your county, down 65, and we're coming into your county, and they'll come over and help you.
Yes, sir.
What is the most interesting thing about your job? Now, you're a police officer, and you told me, I don't know what was on camera before you come on camera, you wanted to help people. What is the most interesting thing that you enjoy most about your job?
I believe that it's providing an array of services to the precincts and to the department in general where we can help reduce crime. That's the goal for all of us, is to reduce crime in the city of Nashville.
How is Nashville looking on the overall big crime picture?
Well, crime rate is good down. It's been down for several years, but I think the main thing is because of the precincts, commanders, and working with the community groups. As we all know, it can't just be the police. We have to work with the community groups, and we actually do that through our Crime Stoppers program. We work with individuals to help tell about different things.
So Crime Stoppers is another one of yours?
It is, yes, sir. We have Crime Stoppers. We also have General Vice, which is such as prostitution and gambling type offenses. We also have Crime Stoppers. We also have an intelligence unit, which helps get intelligence components for products from across the state, coordinating with the Fusion Center and other federal agencies. We also have help coordinate the Project Safe Neighborhood, or called PSN program for the police department. That's basically enhanced sentencing for people that have guns, for suspects. So it's that with the U.S. Attorney's Office. And we also help coordinate the thing called Operation Safer Streets and Directed Mission 1. That's on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I can tell you more about that later. But it's just a good, again, we provide an array of services, but our focus is what can we do to help the precinct commanders and make Nashville a better city and a safer city.
So because we're divided up in precincts, and I know that was some of the, what I call old school people, when Nashville divided up in precincts, and I don't know when they did that, but one of the criticism was I know when Sir Pass was here, he started trying to move things out into the precincts and give the precincts more instead of being in one central location. And some of the people that had been here for a long time, they didn't like that. They wanted everything to be centralized. But as the city gets bigger, I can see the wisdom behind that, because it's a long way from Goodlettsville to South Nashville. And I can see why you'd want to move your command post out and do investigations in those precincts. But now you are an assistant to all those precincts.
Correct. And I think the main thing, for instance, the new West Precinct recently opened, start of the year. And in that, Commander Pardue, she has an array of services she can provide to people within the boundaries of West Precinct. Mm-hmm. So she can have her people focus on that, along with the community groups, help focus on specific areas for that geographic area. The new Madison Precinct opened up, as you recall, the first of the year. Well, on that, Commander Johnson, when he's up there now too, he can actually work on providing the best array of services for the people in Madison, so that they can focus specifically on that geographic area.
So now, are you over the group? Say, there's another group I wanted to ask about is Neighborhood Watch. Are you over Neighborhood Watch?
No, sir. Those are specifically at the precincts, and
they stay at the precincts. Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Sense. Well, I'll tell you why they are, because the community affairs person at each precinct, commonly called COCO. Mm-hmm. We always have acronyms for things, but the COCO person, they can coordinate specifically with that. Good person, Sergeant Ogren at East, among the other COCOs. He's been doing that for many years. He emails them.
They build relationships.
Oh, they do. And what they can do, they can email blast out about different things that are crimes that are occurring.
I get them.
And then you can immediately know, gee, I need to be aware of that. So
what's going on in my community?
The eyes and ears for the department isn't just us, it's the community.
That is your policing strategy, and that's one of the things that makes Nashville such a good police department, because I think when y'all got out of when the police officers got out of the car and got out in the community and started talking and building relationships and talking to grandmama sitting on the porch, brother, you pick up a ton of information.
I agree.
And that's where you can do great police work. All right, let's start talking about gangs. What's going on with gangs?
Well, as you know, recently, one thing involving on the gang situation in Nashville specifically, there was a gang injunction done, the first one for the state of Tennessee. You probably recall there was a part where we did an injunction several years ago. The legislature, they actually assisted us by allowing where we could do a gang injunction. They've been traditionally done across the West, for instance, in California and other areas.
Now, when you say gang injunction, what does that mean?
Well, it just means where you enjoin the gang. In this case, it was the Curtis Pride Gang, KPG. They're enjoined from specific geographic areas and where they can't get together and do specific crimes. If they do, it's a violation of that. They recently had their 23 people initially enjoined in this order, and in that they're enjoined from Peregrine Mills. People that have been to Peregrine Mills Park, the people that live in that area, have for many years talked about all the different graffiti on that area, the different threats that people felt like they were threatened being in that park. And because of that, they reached out to us to try to see what can we do to help out. And us coordinating with Commander Alexander out south, we thought, well, this gang injunction would be a good way. And Chief Anderson said, great, that's a good avenue to use. Let's see what we can do about it. And we did. And with the Department of Law, Metro Law, we got initially the temporary gang injunction has been done through Judge Dozier. We had a court hearing on it, I believe it was the 3rd of August. Now it's continued till in September.
Now, I'm lost here. You got a gang injunction on this gang.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
And so you're doing some special prosecution to that gang. Is that what that is? That injunction is?
But basically, what the injunction allows, and it's a criminal violation, is under TCA. It enjoins these 23 gang members where they can't do specific things in that area. For instance, intimidating, harassing, threatening, stalking. I even have a picture, which I know you can't see on TV, but it has the safety area that also has Peregrine Mills Park.
Now, how do you get the message to these gang members that you can't go around harassing people?
Well, and actually they were up in court that day. I was up there in court initially on this on August the 3rd. When they were up there to court initially, they were notified about it, and then that's when the judge decided to do it.
Did they come in or did y'all haul them in?
Well, no, we didn't haul them in. We provide them notice of it. And then they have a choice if they want to come into court or how they want to do about this. I think the
And they actually came in?
They did, yes, sir. Some of them are still working on getting attorneys, but ban them from associating with each other. It's just...
So the gang members can't associate with each other? It's like two felons can't run around together.
Well, they can't do it in public in the safety zone. For instance, could possibly two people do it that are related, and then they happen to be in their own house. That's one thing, but in Peregrine Mills Park is a safety zone area. They can't do that. They were having their meetings there. So that's one thing we wanted to reach out to do with the assistance of Metro Law about doing this first gang injunction. And again,
now let me ask you another question. I hope I'm not confusing you.
No, you aren't at all.
So if we got a gang injunction on me and my friend are in a gang, and so we can't go to Peregrine Mills Park and have a meeting about who we're gonna rob and what we're gonna do. We can't do that.
Correct.
So I have to leave South Nashville to have a meeting and go to North Nashville to have a meeting.
No, and
they'll kill me if I go to North Nashville.
Well, there's different parts of it. For instance, a lot of the specifically it says they can't do are other crimes. For instance, selling, possession, manufacturing, using controlled substance. We know that's not only a violation of the gang injunction, but also it's a criminal statute against that, or carrying a weapon. So what this is intended to do is to try to get people to recognize that we aren't going to continue to allow this gang to really
run the street.
Yes, sir, and also make it hard for the people inside that park. A lot of people like parks. And
families,
I do, and
families
you do
want
too.
to go to the park,
and they want to go there and be able to use it for themselves, but they can't do it when you have other people terrorizing them.
Right.
And that's just one tool that we use on that. Another tool to help work on gang activity and things is that we have a program called Operation Safer Streets, and same thing with Direct Admission 1. What they do is on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, the people consisting of people in my area, specialized investigations, teaming up with patrol people. But
now you're teaming up with the commanders' areas.
Yes, sir. They do. And,
okay.
and for instance, if you're a commander of, we'll use Commander Alexander.
Right. He's been on the show several times. South Nashville. Okay.
And he does an excellent job, as the other commanders do. But they might say, well, we're having increased crime in some specific area. Help us out on that. So we actually have our people then are working those Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. They go out and saturate that area and just try to see for different criminal violations.
So if they were you're having a problem in Hickory Hollow Mall, and that's a problem. We're having a problem in Hickory Hollow Mall. Then you would give him more feet on the ground, more boots on the ground at Hickory Hollow Mall to be able. So you just give him extra police officers. Is that what it is?
It is, yes, sir. For instance, he would already utilize his flex people, his flex officers that he has, and his zone officers. He has a lot of resources to use. This is just an additional infusion where then they can try to work on that area too.
And so this, y'all are striving. This is all. Is this a part of CompStat?
It is, yes, sir. And it's where
that
each
is
Friday.
So smart.
Oh, it is. It's a great tool.
I don't know
It's
how
where
the
we all
cities did it
meet.
without it. I just don't understand it.
Well, it's a good way where you can communicate. It's real easy to, before that, to say, well, you're doing something, keeping things compartmentalized or in silos of information, if you may. But by this, it's an open forum. Anybody can come listen to it. But the interesting part is where everybody can hear different things that are occurring for the precinct commanders, and then we're thinking on the other side of the room, the division commanders, what can we do to assist them? And that's where we're thinking, gee, they need some more help, or if we have a gang detective that goes out to a scene that might be gang related, we can have somebody go there to help do an investigative report, provide resources from our people. Same thing on narcotics investigations. Each precinct has a crime suppression unit. Now they're assigned to the individual precincts. We also have a narcotics unit that's assigned to my area. Our narcotics unit, they obviously coordinate with the crime suppression units to help them out. So many times we do like street level drug enforcement with the crime suppression units. They do like what they call buy-bust operations, where there's called buy-bust.
Buy-bust.
And basically what that is, where there's an individual on the side of the street selling drugs, and we might know that from somebody calling perhaps Crime Stoppers, which I always want to give that information out, but it's a 74 crime, that's the phone number for that, or 24 dope.
And they won't be traced. They're not going to come
Correct.
back on that person. You can do that anonymous. You can drop. That's what the kids call drop a dime on him. That's what they're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
And those things where they'll go out and then try to have maybe an undercover officer go out and buy drugs from this individual and then charge them.
I know guys in jail right now. It's this one old boy. He's unsold drugs. He goes to jail about every 5 years, and he always sells to an undercover officer. I don't know why he won't give it up. I said, man, you got.
True.
I accused him of sending the same officer. I said, that's just dumb, man. You got to do better than that. Now let me ask this question. And I know you got a lot more information you want. You got to come back, okay?
Be glad to.
All right, now. Say you're going out here and you're going to bust a motel in South Nashville. You got a tip that there's a heavy drug deal. Somebody brought in a truckload of drugs, and they're in rooms 1, 2, 3, and you want to bust that thing. Now, Alexander wants to bust that thing. Now, is he busting that with his, what I would call beat officers off the street, his groups, or is he bringing in special people like y'all to run that bust?
In a situation,
Do you understand my question?
I do. In a situation you described, he would call me up, said we need some assistance, and we would provide resources to help out on that. And it's not because their people don't know what they're doing. That's not true. They do.
More boots on the ground.
But it just gets more people. Plus, we handle investigations like that daily, so we can help out as far as different equipment that is needed or not, and make sure we have the necessary resources. It could be something where you might need a helicopter, which is out of our special operations. You could need the expertise of our SWAT people. So you sort of get globally.
So SWAT is under you? Now,
No, sir. No. SWAT's under specialized operations.
Okay.
So SWAT is not under me or SRT.
Now, SWAT. Each commander doesn't have a SWAT team.
Correct.
He has to call in a SWAT team to come out there. How many calls will a SWAT team? Well, that's not a fair question. How many calls will a SWAT team make a night or a week? How many calls do you have? Is a ballpark figure out there?
I don't know. I know they keep the exact numbers on that, but from seeing at CompStat, I would not be surprised that they help other components several times per day. For instance, whenever our people do a search warrant or anybody does a search warrant, you do a threat analysis. In that, you have different components in it that I don't want to go into a lot of detail about, but it helps provide a resource to say that this is something where we also need the assistance of SWAT to help provide this safety for this search warrant. It's not just for the safety of the officers, but also the safety for the possible suspects or residents in this building.
Just like the deal in Colorado, where they had to go in an apartment and check out old boy. He told them, said, I got the apartment booby trapped, and that was SWAT. That was EOD, I guess, wasn't it?
It was,
Yeah.
and we also have that, a hazardous device unit, which again
Those
is
boys
out
got
of,
courage, I'm telling you.
they do an excellent job. Same thing out of special operations.
What type man volunteer? I had them in the military, and they were special. I love those boys. Man, they had courage.
They do a great job. We're very fortunate to have them that want to do that. It's a very extensive training. I know they also work with ATF a lot. And again, I think that's one thing for our success that we have in Nashville, is that we have such great state and federal partners. Everybody from the TBI, obviously, to the district attorney's office, but federally we have ATF. We work with the FBI, we work with DEA, we work with Secret Service when they bring in other people. We also work with just an array of different federal agencies we work with, and our relationship is great with them. It provides additional resources for that. So it just provides a different avenue. For instance, the Project Safe Neighborhood part, where you have enhanced sentencing for people that are involved in crimes that have guns. Now that's coordinated out of our area, but obviously it's parts where the precincts are making these arrests on individuals.
Now what you're talking about is Mr. Wright over here he's already been charged with a robbery, and somebody was hurt bad with a gun, and so he's got that on his record. And then he gets out, and he comes back and carrying another gun involved in another crime. He gets, what, 10 more years stuck on him?
Well, and a lot of things does look back to prior arrest part, but through our relationship that we have with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and we can't thank the U.S. Attorney, Jerry Martin, enough, how much he helps us out. But the great thing about that is that you look at prior sentencing of that individual and see if it fits the criteria, and if it does, the sentencing on the federal side is much severe. It's for instance,
no
100%.
Uh-huh.
That is correct. It's 100% of the time. So it just gives an additional tool that we can use because of our relationships that we have with both the state and federal partners.
So if he's carrying this gun, that makes him a federal, and so when y'all arrest him, y'all to give him to the federals to press the charges on him?
Well, again, if it's part of the Project Safe Neighborhood part,
okay.
On that, we look at the prior sentencing. Our people do that. Detective Deb Webster in our area helps facilitate for that for the department, for the U.S. Attorney's Office. And with that, they look through all the prior histories of it, what specific charges of it, see if it fits the criteria. If it does, it just gives a great way that we can help enforce laws and then also get criminals behind bars longer.
What would you say to my inner city kids? You've got a lot of experience and you've seen a lot of things. And what would you say to my inner city children that are growing up just kind of stuck in hopelessness out there? What message would you have to them to get out of that hope, get into hope, get doing something with their life? What would you say to them?
I would say that there are people that care. For instance, the group that you have is a great avenue. Talk with their pastor, other people too, in the churches that they work with. But there are people that care that want to work with them. We have a program.
That's hard to convince a child that doesn't think anybody loves him, doesn't think anybody cares about him.
But that's not true.
That's right.
And I agree with you. We want to help out and help steer them toward the things that they need. For instance, the DARE program is not facilitated out of our area, but it is done for the department. It's where they have educational classes to let them understand about don't use drugs, don't get involved with gangs, things like that. But there is an array of services out there for that, and there is hope. Again, as your group provides every day.
I say all the time, back in my heyday when I was younger and 100 pounds lighter and worked on the streets, and now I'm off into this management stuff, but I was at work when I was working on the streets. We knocked a lot of doors. I mean, we was in every major housing projects. We was transporting 1,500 children a week, and we had a good team, a lot of volunteer forces, and we worked. But still, the Metro Police knocked on more doors a week than what we did, because you were out there when the child got in trouble. You could see a pattern. You'd go by and talk to your specialized group, whoever they were, would go by and talk to the mother and say, hey, you know, we see these things. Here's a group of people that might be able to help your child. That is good police work.
I agree. Well, and the good thing is, just for instance, when I came in this building today, the person opened up the door, you know, he didn't know for sure who I was. I just smiled, hey, how you doing? And that goes a long way. Immediately you can see a turn on the person, that they're smiling and grinning. Hey, good to see you, come in. So again, lots of times people see us at the worst. It's when a crime has occurred, or somebody has to be arrested. But also too, it's important for us to also empathize And let me tell you another thing that we have that helps out for youth. We also work closely with pastors across the city.
Yes.
They have a youth intervention program, and basically if there's a crime that occurs where there's youth and possible retaliation on it, we contact them. Great program. You have Pastor Joyner, you have Pastor Harris, Bishop Price. That's just to name a few of the many that do that.
And they can go in and talk about no retaliation.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
And,
they do a great job, and it's another great resources that we have. But you know, they're excellent, just like you are. You know, you're helping saving people every day, and you know how much we appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about the retaliation, and that, you know, it's. I don't understand this, but my experience has been there'll be a crime, there'll be a shooting, and then they retaliate one time, and then this bunch will retaliate on that one. We ain't got 2 minutes. This one will retaliate after two more crimes, 3 incidences. Everything's okay all of a sudden, and all that is time to think and get back up. And I was one of my kids was shot one night, and I went out to I was at Vanderbilt, and of course they got everything. You couldn't get to him because they got everything locked up real tight because it's a crime. But his buddies showed up. Now these boys are in their 20s. You know, you're talking guys that was mad and angry. And I pulled them outside and I said, "Fellas, I'm gonna talk to you straight." And I started talking about the power of forgiveness. Let the police department do this. Don't get in their way. If you got information, give it to the police department. And so I was going at them hard, and I said, "Hey, am I being too pushy?" And one old boy spoke up and said, "No, you're telling us what we need to hear." Those guys walked away, and as far as I know, they walked away that night, not retaliating, and that kid was shot is now working for us, doing a great job.
Oh, that's
and
right.
So that's a success story.
It is, and again, it goes to, with people as yourself and the other pastors throughout the city of Nashville, with their help, we can help reduce and hopefully prevent future crimes.
That's right. Because it's retaliation is just what we got 1 minute to go. What would you say to the people of Nashville right now? We got 1 minute. Give them some advice, and you're going to have to come back.
I'll be glad to.
Talk to the people of Nashville. Give them a message here that you want to have from you.
I think the main thing is that we want to involve everybody in the city of Nashville to assist us help reduce crime. You're our eyes and ears. We want to help this city become as safe as it can be. And if I can just say one thing, involve yourself. Involve
That's
yourself
right.
with your community groups.
You know what, Captain, what has happened is, don't snitch, no snitch. That is terrible because people need to share. It's our community, and every boy and girl deserves the right to be able to lay down at night and go to sleep and feel safe. And y'all are making our city safer, and we appreciate you.
Thank you,
and
sir.
we appreciate all your team for coming, and y'all just keep up the good work. And I'm going to have them get back in touch with you, and you're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some other things that you're dealing with, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. God bless. Boy, he's good. He knows what
Sometimes I hear feeling in touch with fear. Freedom we all hold dear, now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will sound, and all of the dead shall rise. Righteous me in the skies. I'm going where no one does, heavenward bound. Well, troubles will soon be o'er, happy forevermore. When we meet on that shore, free from all care. Rising up in the skies.